Yeah, and moms can give you the best word of mouth or the worst. So it's important to take care of them. I,
That's true.
and you mentioned Tony Robbins. I'm not familiar with him, but I'm
Okay.
a big fan of his mentor, Jim Rohn. I'm a
Of
big fan of
course.
him. And what Tony Robbins give you in his seminars, or what you become aware of listening to him?
Oh my gosh. So I know there's millions and millions of people here in the US are familiar with Tony Robbins because way back in the early 90s, he used to do a TV infomercial and it ran like 24 hours a day on all the cable networks. And so he sold these personal power cassette tapes and it was about achievement and success. And that's what Tony was really about back in the early 90s. But I went to my first Tony Robbins live event in 1999 with my brother-in-law, and Tony's signature event was called Unleash the Power Within, where you actually do a fire walk. And it was at that event where I came to the realization that I needed to get away from the safe working in medical sales and quit the job and go ahead and go for it and go full time into my business. At that time, it was my softball league. Tony's been instrumental throughout my whole life. And the interesting thing about Tony Robbins, too, is we think back to Tony in the early 1990s. Tony's a human being, right? He's like the rest of us. We learn, we evolve, we grow. Tony started out all about achievement. And I'll tell you what, Tony has figured out about how life is ultimately about fulfillment. And I've grown as a result of Tony Robbins as he's grown, of course, and he's gotten older. And I've evolved, and he's been immensely instrumental in the success of my life in really every aspect of it.
Yeah, we all need mentors, and it's great that you have it close to you, and
Mm-hmm.
you can attend seminars. And you host the podcast, Emerging Franchise Brands. What does the podcast give to you in a unique way that you can't find in other ventures, in other activities?
Wow, yeah, that's a great question. About a year ago, a little more than a year ago, I was at a franchise, not a franchise, I was at an entrepreneurship mastermind meeting. And I was sharing my experience just in franchising with a couple of folks. And they said, gosh, you've been in franchising for 20 years. You've got to do a podcast. And I said, I don't even really listen to many podcasts, truthfully. I do a podcast? Like, that's not really my personality. And as I talked to a few more people, they said to me, "Look, you got to do the podcast. You've got this experience, and you have a passion for a certain time period in your business." And that's when I thought of what I was most passionate about, and that was when I was starting I9 Sports. It was that emerging time period. It's when we were growing, when we were starting out, and so I thought I want to be the mentor that I never had in franchising. And so I started the podcast called The Emerging Franchise Brands. It could be watched on YouTube. That's actually where most of our subscribers are. I launched it in September of 2023. I've interviewed already 150 founders and franchise experts in less than a year. I'm having the time of my life doing because I'm interviewing founders that were where I was, way back in the early 2000s. I'm having a blast doing it, and I'm doing some mentoring and some advising and helping people, and I get to be the mentor that I never had, and it's absolutely so fulfilling to me.
Yeah, you share all the knowledge you gathered in more than 20 years. And we talk about the Independence Days, and I had mine as yours, not so early as you. And do you have a reconciliation day with your dad?
I did, yes. Yeah, my dad and I, we figured things out. We smoothed things over. It got a little rough after I actually wrote my book. It got worse before it got better, but we did smooth it out. I would say that anybody that has challenges with their parents, you got to remember that our parents do the best they can with the resources that they have. And we can't expect our parents to be anything other than a human being, right? We're all flawed individuals. We all come with our own baggage, with our own experiences. And I think especially for folks that are watching or listening to this, if you're thinking of going into business, if you have a mom or dad or a friend or sibling that says you shouldn't do it and they give you all the reasons why, I want you to know it's not because they don't want you to succeed. It's because they don't see it for themselves. and people will never recommend something, or um, I can never give you advice if I can't see it for myself. And the truth is, my parents aren't entrepreneurs. Yes, my mom has been very supportive my entire life of everything I've ever done, and she always had this, this belief in me. But with my dad, he didn't maybe see it for himself. And so I would suggest anybody watching or listening to this that wants to go into entrepreneurship, that just remember that our family, our friends, they love us. They just don't want to see us fail. And so anyway, my dad and I did reconcile, and I realized that we're two different people, and we could respect that.
Yeah, a month ago I have a session with a therapist, and she told me that we have to make some integration because the bad things that parents do to us, we do the same with our kids. And I have to
Right.
perform an exercise to write all the bad things that my dad did, and it was easy. And then I have to figure out what I did to my kids. And I did the same things. We all have that dark side, and we have to
Sure.
accept that we are like that too. So it's
Right.
not like I'm the opposite of that. I'm this sometimes and I'm that sometimes. So let's shift to your guitar skills. Because
Oh,
you started old and I started at 40 when I saw a guy performing the guitar with his feet because he had no
okay.
hands.
Oh,
So
wow.
I say, I like music, I have to start. So why did you start playing the guitar?
Okay, so after I sold I-9, I went on this kind of spiritual, awakening. I went on the spiritual journey, and so I went to this resort that's pretty well known in Tucson, Arizona. It's called Miraval, and Miraval Resort is a fascinating place. You can go there for something as simple as massages and go to the gym or lay by the pool, or you can go to some incredible presentations with their speakers and practitioners. And so there's one particular practitioner who's a very intuitive lady. I would really consider her to be my spiritual advisor. Her name is Tej Paul. She's just an amazing woman. And I had a session with Tej Paul, and we talked a lot about spirituality. And she shared with me that I needed to do something that was going to be different, something that was going to be fun, and I needed to reconnect with myself again. And she said, you have this incredible love for music, and you've never really applied it. And so it was at her suggestion that I do something I've never done before and pick up the guitar. And I thought, well, if I'm going to pick up a guitar, I'm going to pick up an electric guitar. So I picked up electric guitar, and when I got home, after I got home, I got a guitar and I started going to guitar lessons, and I felt like a kid again, and I had a blast doing it. I haven't played so much in quite a while, but I enjoyed it, and I think the what's so important for people, whether it's uh, music or art or journaling, it's do something for yourself that's going to get you out of your comfort zone, something that's going to be something that's going to kind of awaken you and reconnect with yourself. And that's why I think whether it's music, art, writing, whatever, do something that's going to allow you to help reconnect with yourself. And that's ultimately what the guitar, I guess, meant for me, was it allowed me to reconnect with myself.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice for parents that wants their kids to do this thing and the other thing, they have to work on themselves first. And when you play the guitar with another guy that play another instrument, you go to a whole new level. And before ending this conversation, where can people can find your book, your social links? Where are you available?
I'm available kind of anywhere, everywhere on social. The best place to find me, where I'm most active, is on LinkedIn. So my name is Frank Fiume, Fiume. You can find me on LinkedIn rather easily. I have a website, frankfiume.com, which is going to be actually redone here in the very near future. My book can be picked up on Amazon as well, Running with My Head Down. I'm also a little bit pretty active on Twitter as well. Again, Frank Fiume, you can find me at that handle. And I look forward to helping people out any way I can.